So we got a new hot acid-laced marshmallow here. I really like his stuff. He does really good. I have a hard time pushing through about halfway through these things when you have two very good field theory teachers. Now, I'm going to give him the edge. I'm going to say I'm somewhere between 2.7 and infinity hot. He's somewhere between infinity hot and something between that. He's more practiced as far as writing these equations down using the papers or freehanding them. When I'm looking at this, I might have to ting tang some of these. I know how irrational is Planck's constant. U here takes on
It's just good.
very special meaning though as far as what his energy is, E. This in the form of Dirac's equation. When people don't get that, they don't really understand what hydrogen gambit is really all about. Because technically, what did he do here? He did 0 and 1. And he just said 0 is equal to 1 or 1 is equal to 0. When he says his name, a quantum physics teacher, high and low, or quantum mechanics using Schrodinger's wave equation, is going to come up demon correlator to subscribers, views, and the timelines for those sequences. We have to give it a time dominion. Here we have to give it an H. We're talking about what it is here, but that's going to be a length or a frequency anyways, because 0 parentheses 0 fx. With a guy like me sitting in this room, it's really hard to do that because I want the second order operation. His name, quantum mechanics, and I'm not trying to bag on him. I really like his work. It just kind of comes out friction like this, and you can imagine sitting in here, whether it's their timeline. If it was real life, I couldn't do it as a student. I'd be too distracting out here to be able to process this through. Invertly, like a student, there's a lot of 2 field in there, 2a and 2b, that there's a capital delta, and in this case, just because relative fx, I have to be little delta. He is in this up superposition as far as what this quantum mechanic wave is on Schrodinger's equation, and I agree with that, is the field charge. He has 2 up quarks in this direction. And technically this is his hadron collider, so that makes him Higgs and me Z boson to the bottom. We don't have anybody else in the room, just this, except for what I would compel to somebody that is potentially lower as an energy order than me as far as how high entropy this conversation is. It's pretty fluid, and it cycles high and low for how much consistent charge this 9 volt will invertly square. We don't know that that's the result in 35 minutes. We just generally try to keep energy, all energy in the universe, nuclear, everything, in 30 some minutes. So there's only a couple ways to do that, and I'm not saying this isn't one of them. But with that said, I would then take this to a second order, because using this same equation, as you break this down, it's a 4th dimensional object, right? Or a 4th to 5th dimensional object. And as you're working it through, this is all parts of the stone mill, or his thesis on this. And now that's a bit of an inverted Klein bottle where it keeps it on these lines, where I'm not breaking this section, this 4x4, into some kind of scalable XYZ that describes the entropy state on the floor. Basically, I'm just getting a 4x4 tile, and they're not even black and white yet. You're building out to, so those ones have states, and that builds the floor, and then there's objects on there. In the same way you compel a tile to be black or white, that's a statement in a program and an object in a program as well, because then I redefine the white tile as an object as well. It's not a statement. It's saying while it's on that statement, on that object, the statement for what it does is certain pieces can only do certain things, or they act a certain way. And that can be a very quantum mechanic process at a macro level plane. But here we're building up and down. We know that Jupiter, and we know that atomic level, and somewhere in the middle is classical mechanics. Well, this p squared over m2 plus me is to say, I'll invert this, I'll bracket that, and then I, this voter, the very first that liked it here comparatively to the views, will add this equation to derive some form of a black body energy, right? Okay, and that might be me starting with the real in classical mechanics and saying, well, they don't have necessarily Jupiter's positions, but they have quantum mechanics expert spots in here, and they have this ground guy state that every math I do, all added together in the stone mill, maybe at least the subparts of my M2 field, to all MM parts, the trucker down the road, the installer, and all those other things, are what this process is trying to explain to me. And so you can see how Dirac's order of operations is within this Klein bottle, and what we'll get to is some level of 0 or 1 by the issue. But in sense, what I am here, or what you is here, is me, and I am 1. And that is what the energy is to 0, as if it were the form high or pole that I needed in this example. And I won't have anything physical because I don't really have anything physical beyond hydrogen, and hydrogen is Jupiter. Hydrogen is vacuum decay. Hydrogen that acting on each other in quantum computing and AI are tracking all of these objects all at the same time, like somebody in the stone mill. Now, I kind of have a limited processor, but I'm not the universe, and neither is this computer system or its angle of this axion to the information. If that overhead camera didn't notice the casino person's Turing machine to be proper about what should be high or low here in terms of certain sequences on that sinusoidal wave with the Laplacian or Fourier transform, then it's something I'd miss, much like a surge in the electricity or a differential between two time points where an obscure pattern comes into a hidden variable of that Otto Sagan, Carl Sagan universe loaf in a Compton scattering, Bell's inequality kind of way. But you can see how that inequality is going to affect, because I could never get in front of this at this point in time. I can't make Dirac kiss the knee, or Einstein, these people are dead. As long as they have that, I'm going to have to use forms like this to Gresham's law, the Bell's inequality, as far as the calculus in the group around me, which gives me a smaller form of this black body radiation. Potentially Rayleigh, Maxwell, or excuse me, Rayleigh, Jeans, or Maxwell's equation, which gives me multiple spectrums. You could say that there's 7 bars inside of there in the slit experiment. But in the end, all I would really need is left, right, and center, or high and low, right? These 2 dimensions. If what's coming through the pipes in the particle accelerator there, and this being the gold sheet, is click, this very consistent organization, and that's because I would say I knew the spin of each of those electrons, not necessarily high or low, but I needed a high or low or a neutral phase inside of here to be able to get that to match out to redshifting hydrogen or Jupiter, or this very quantum mechanic, not to solve uncertainty, but to make that range of uncertainty basically epsilon equal or less than 0. So that's my note. Great, good stuff. I've been running him hard.